All right, we're going to check and make sure. Yep, we are live on Facebook.
And that's the Caribbean American
I'm
page.
actually going to share that. Louis,
Okay.
give us a little intro and I'll come back and share. I'll go ahead and share to everyone.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And so we want to welcome everyone this evening to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. We are live this evening on the CRR-FM. Welcome to Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. As we get started this evening, it's 2 minutes after 7 o'clock. We want to welcome you all to CRR-FM this evening. And of course, our panel, we want to also welcome you to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Another history, big history event. We're going to talk about all the Black history, not just African American, but across the Caribbean, across the world this evening. So I want to take the time to welcome you all to Facebook and to crrfm.com. Wagwan Donna.
Right. Big up everyone. Welcome back. You know, we were saying off air that we had like this amazing summer going on for February, right?
Yeah.
And it was we were just basking, ready for go out beach, ready to just and then this cold front just kind of out of nowhere. I actually was with family, had shorts on, was at like a fair, and then a beautiful, the most gorgeous day. And then all of a sudden, this windstorm came, and then rain, and then it dropped like 20 degrees, just like that. So, yeah, this change is amazing. We want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Um, my name is Donna Morton Morgan. I am the president of Caribbean American Diaspora, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, and real estate broker and life coach. And we want to welcome you for as we wrap up. Actually, we've got another week of Black History Month, and we have three authors for tonight. One is actually running a little late, right? But we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we want to just welcome these amazing authors. And we're going to start with the ladies. We were just saying ladies first, ladies first. We're going to start with the ladies, and then we're going to come back to Dr. White. So we want to first start with our amazing Myrtha Dubois. And Myrtha's actually heritage is from Haiti.
Yeah, before you go to Dr. Myrtha, we also joined now by Patrick Benjamin from live from Nigeria. Patrick, welcome.
Oh, Patrick. Okay.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Patrick.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Patrick. You made it. If you can, your camera was a little dark, so we weren't seeing you. So if you can if you're able to find a lit area, you can come back on camera.
Yeah, I actually have a lit area now. I was trying to
Okay.
put this.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
So
because
we're
it's currently 1:05 a.m. here in Nigeria.
Wow. He said
I will.
5 p.m. or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, you don't sound groggy or sleepy at all. So there you go.
Look.
Yeah, it's a
Uh-oh.
You went muted for us.
Yeah, Brother Patrick.
There you go.
Okay, I said it's a discipline. The program is worth it. So I just have to make the sacrifice to be present, and I'm happy to with brilliant mind across the globe. Thank you so much for having me again.
Nice.
Well,
nice.
while you're
It's
on, because
pleasure.
I know also that internet goes out in and out there.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, just in case you get kicked off.
Okay, my name is Patrick Madekudumi Benjamin. I am a citizen reporter in Nigeria. I'm speaking from Nigeria, Edo State, southern Nigeria in West Africa. I am a citizen reporter. I am a writer, and I'm also into website development and internet information technology. Yeah, I am a student and youth advocate, and I've had opportunity to participate in the 8th Pan-African Congress that held in Accra, Ghana in 2015. And also African Continental Solidarity Program with the Cuban people that held in Nigeria in 2019. So thank you.
Wow. And I hear that you're working on a play, right?
Yes, in fact, it's my first play. I wrote a play titled "The Great Delusion." It's actually telling an African American struggle, and not just the struggle, but it's basically celebrating the Black geniuses that are less talked about. You know, because of course we know the media of the world. They make it a point of duty to underreport the genius of Black community. So it makes young Black children assume scientific invention were product of every other race except their race. So the play highlights the works of Black geniuses in global development. You know, we talked about people like Madam Catherine Johnson. We talked about Garrett Morgan, who invented the traffic light. We talked about Dr. Charles Drew, who invented the blood bank. You know, and many of them. We also talked about the role the enslaved African American played in the construction of the White House and even the Capitol. So it's a play that I used dramatic techniques to tell that story, so that people will understand the role Black genius play in global development. Because I realized that, because as being a young person, I'm 32, or I'll be 32 by October this year, so maybe I'm 31. I realized that people of my generation, the reading culture, the concentration ability that people of elder generation has, my generation do not have it. So we just like entertainment. We like entertainment. So the best way to get our attention is through entertainment. So that's why I look for a very creative way of putting the history of African American into a play to encourage our people to read the play and to watch it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Well, I'm glad that you recognize that your era, they love entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is true. That is true.
And I know you wanted to get in touch with connect with Dr. White, or we felt that it would be a good connection, and so we'll do that offline. But it's good to at least see who. And that was a conversation with Lewis and I. When you talked to us, we were like, we've got the perfect person to connect you with.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Thank you so much. Because I, in fact, it's a very big privilege. I will really be so grateful to have Doctor review the work, and it will be a good honor to have him even consider a foreword for it, because I approached a professor here in Nigeria, in one of the first generation University of Benin. Professor Steve Bodiakundayo, is in the Department of English Language and Literature. So he saw the work and he was quite impressed about it. And he did the editing of the work. Then I felt this is a story that talks about the resilience, the culture of the African American. So it won't make correct to have everybody on the project just on the continent. The author being in Nigerian, the editor in Nigerian. It will speak volume compared to when we have an opinion and a very respected opinion from the diaspora to do the forward. So it gives this sense of balance that, okay, we are not just bringing up story from the figment of our imagination. We have people who live the experience in the diaspora and who can definitely say, okay, what has been written here is actually correct, and this is our own experience with it. So that's why I reached out to Mr. Luis. He has been a very wonderful person. And also, I forgot to mention that I'm also a correspondent for the Caribbean Reading Radio Network.
Oh,
so,
wonderful.
and Mr. Luis has been so very, very helpful in terms of mentorship, support, intellectually and even socially. So when I spoke to him, he said, that he knows people he can reach out to, and he's sure they'll be so happy to see how they can support in making it come to reality. So thank you so much. I'm happy to be seeing Dr. Space. Thank you so much.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. All right.
Oh,
So
sure.
we're gonna jump right in. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, sir.
And we're going to hear. So we're gonna have each author to just 10 minutes or so, just kind of tell us about who they are and the books that they've written and what inspired them to even get started. So we'll go ahead and start with Miss Myrtha.
Well, hello. Thank you so very much. And I hope you give me a couple of seconds just to speak my language to those who are joining us. I was born in Haiti. I was raised in Brooklyn, New York. Yes, I am Caribbean American full-fledged. I don't have a flag, but I'll be better prepared next time. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde qui a regardé là, c'est haïtienne moyen. Moi, c'est été invité là parce que vous me parlez de livre moi. And the name of my book is, you can't see it. It's I Am Natural Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's from transformation to self-discovery. And in a nutshell, I believe my divine assignment is to transform lives. And I do that because transformation is pretty much a catalyst. So I do that through educating, empowering, elevating, and encouraging other women. So the 3 pillars that I really stand on in a nutshell is empowering clarity, fueling growth, and of course, helping women build and secure their future with confidence. And what inspired me to start writing, this is not my first book. This is actually maybe my 7th book.
Wow.
And so what inspired me to start writing is the fact that there's 2 or 3 places in the Bible that says go tell. And those are major go tells. Like, it's not like go tell I woke up and I had a great night. It's go tell and this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe go tell, those 2 words are not a suggestion. I believe that they are a commandment. So when we speak up, of course, I am also a facilitator and an advocate for mental health awareness. So when you go through trauma, the first thing you want to do is to hush everything down, keep everything in. We become silent. But the moment that we start to share our voice and use our voice is the moment that we start to heal. We are on a path to heal. So for me, it's very significant when you share your story when you talk to other people, when you use your voice, not somebody else speaking on your behalf, when you use your voice, you are on your way to developing and discovering who you are and why you are here on this planet. No, it's not just to sleep. No, it's not just to work. No, it's not just to be. Every single one of us has a divine assignment, and that is my very strong opinion that we're here for a purpose. Like you, Ms. Donna, you're bringing the community together. And so that is an assignment. It's not, and we see that every time that we think of a project or we encounter an individual that needs our support, and we're there to offer them the support, whether from ourselves specifically or through the community, our environment, the people that are there to nourish us, continue to nourish us. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. So you say you're on book number 7?
I believe this is number 7. Yes, I started writing in 2018. My first book is a personal book, and basically it talks about creating purposeful resilience. And it started with my personal story, how I got to where I was in that moment back in 2018. And since then, I've written several books. They've either made international bestselling, or they've had several accolades to it.
Wow.
But this recent book, and also it's readers are reading it across the globe. But this particular book is an anthology. So there are 9 authors in this book. So we get to hear 9 women sharing their personal stories, their struggles, their triumphs, their hopes, their dreams, and even the lessons that they've learned, which is powerful. So you don't only get to hear one voice, you get to hear a collection of voices.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. We want each author to also share where people can get their books. So
absolutely. You can actually, I prefer you not get it on Amazon, because what I'd love to do is to sign the book, autograph it, personalize it for you, and send it to you. So if you can, I don't know if you want me to share it now or maybe share it in the comments, but you can definitely reach out to me directly, and I will be more than happy to send you an autographed copy of the book.
Okay. So you hear that, personal. I love it. I love how you gathered the other women, other voices also in your book. I'm not a published author, but I write every day.
Absolutely.
I do blogs, and I think I've been doing blogs,
That's published.
spiritual blogs, probably since 2020, since COVID started. And so your message when you said go tell, that was my message, go share. And it's just evolved into and it's therapy, actually. So
yes, it is. It is. But that's where it starts, though, with the journaling and the little daily notes to ourselves. That's where it starts. And if you compile all of that, then you'll have a book, or you compile it and you'll have, poetry or thoughts, random thoughts. So it starts there. So keep writing, and who knows, one day you'll decide, you know what, I want to take it a little bit further.
I plan on it. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go to next woman, ladies first tonight, and coming all the way from Miami. We're gonna get to hear from Alexandra, and so tell us a little bit about you and where you're from, etc.
Oh my goodness. Good evening. Such a pleasure to be here. Yes, I don't know where everybody's located, but I guess with your program, they're seeing us from around the globe. I am in Miami. I am originally from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Thank you. I am originally from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I've traveled the world. Um, I am a Waldorf educator. That's my first master's. I'm doing a second master's now for counseling. I've been working with kids with disabilities for a very long time as well, with different organizations worldwide, particularly with Easter Seals here in South Florida with kids with disabilities. I also work as a part-time teacher at Dade County Public Schools. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit, which is called Mindful Art Education, which teaches and empowers kids and families through yoga, mindfulness meditation, and art as a healing tool. We also teach kids leadership to be to protect the planet, to protect the ocean through recycling. I have written so far 3 books. I have 7 books in my notes to write. I have like the big lines, but writing a book takes a long time. And I'm a sort of a perfectionist, so I go back and I look and I add and I take out. I try to bring the best to my to the public that I attend, and I try to bring mindfulness meditation to children as a fun activities, which is not as easy as it seems, but I try to make it easy. So I guess the book that I'm presenting tonight is called Mindful Pokey, with the character Pokey, which was developed at the time of COVID with children to bring them on and on Zoom, because that was like the time that Zoom started to become familiar, and it was like a challenge for teachers to have kids come on Zoom. So this character was the character that brought kids to talk about mindfulness, meditation, affirmations, and to become resilient and do fun activities at home with Pokey. So Pokey is a DJ who loves to play music and loves to do mindfulness meditation in the Love Museum in Little Haiti. So kids would come on and find out about the different stories about Pokey and invent their stories of Pokey as well. So Pokey traveled to the houses of many students of mine who were living in the proximity of Little Haiti, Liberty City, in the area. So every day Pokey would come on and create poetry and talk about how they're going to recycle today. If they had purchased and had a lot of plastic bags at home, how they would recycle and how they can bring their little grain of sand to make a difference in the world, and do their mindfulness meditation. So in the book, there's like a 21-day journal. So every day you come on and you say 5 things that you're grateful for. You can either say them and you can either draw them. And if you draw them, you have to share what you've drawn and just share, all the benefits and all the good experiences that you would spend with Pokey, or things that you're grateful for. It also opens the opportunity to have a conversation. In the book, I have a quote that Maya Angelou would say a lot. It's not originally from her, but she would say it a lot, and it's in Latin. So it's Homo sum humani nil a me alienum puto. And it means that I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. So, which means it doesn't matter what color of skin, your hair, color of the eyes, we're all human, and we just have to be tolerant and love each other and do the best we can. So the book talks about several aspects, and it brings this resilience to children in so many different ways. I don't know if there are any questions. I could go on and talk about the book. It's like a mother talking about their child.
Tell us about, so you had a few other books too?
I'm sorry?
You had a few other books?
A total of
Yes, the other book is it's about mindful pokie as well, but it didn't have the fun activities.
Okay.
And the other book is about mindful chickens. I love to observe the chickens in South Florida. If you have the opportunity to be in South Florida in the areas of Little Haiti or Little Havana, you'll see chickens walking all around. And chickens are vulnerable animals, but they're just so amazing. The way that they take care of each other, it's a great example for kids to observe because when you see a mother walking with the chicks or there's the rooster there, the rooster goes first and then the mother and then, making sure that all the chicks are following. So it's a great example for kids to observe. And of course, we never have time to observe. So what's good about mindfulness meditation is being in the moment, it's being in the now. So I bring in different elements that we have around us in the community for kids to just observe. And it also gives them the opportunity for them to think about something different, like a child who has would have an anxiety attack because of looking at chickens. Even though you look at the animals, they're vulnerable, but some children don't feel comfortable around certain animals, and it could be of a chicken. And then another friend goes and tells them and helps them to do breath work, when they look at the chickens and just think about strawberries and flowers and different elements that brings the anxiety down. And I think that it's a great opportunity for children to learn from children as well. Um, and the other project that I've been working on is a peace building project because there's as you may know, everybody is familiar with the fact that what's going on right now in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And
Right.
it's really unfortunate. But I want to do a peace building project with my neighbors because at the time of the earthquake, they were the first responders and anything can happen at any time. So some of the illustrators that I work with are from the Dominican Republic and they do the drawing and I do the writing in Creole. So some of the writing is about, I am happy that you're happy to see me happy. So it says in Creole, "Mwen content, que ou content, ou em content." And we have it in seven different languages. And why? Because we have Haitians all around the globe that unfortunately have had to leave and go to Chile, for instance, or Brazil, or in Europe or in different places. So we have in all of those different languages.
Very
Wow.
good.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I love the different languages approach.
We're
All
all
right.
one. We're all one.
Miss Alexandra, and this question is, yeah, this question is for you, Alexandra, and also Miss Myrtle. You seems to be excelling in your field that you are in, and I like the fact that you guys are sending that message out in the books. I also like the fact that you guys are very spiritual in terms of what you write. Miss Merton mentioned several times that the divine connection with her books. If you should look back in your ancestry, whether it's your mom, your grandparents, or any one of those ancestors in Haiti that have done well in terms of the revolution, who would you say you draw your inspiration from, and someone that have really helped you that you look back on and say, hey, I want to be not like them, but this person inspires me. Who would you guys
Would you like to go first, Ms. Dubois?
It's okay. Yeah.
The person that I would definitely say that has brought not only spirituality, but spirituality in so many different layers in my life was definitely my mom. She, as my mother, as a woman, as a teacher, as a professional, as a wife, she was also a friend. And through that friendship, she always taught us that it's always important to think about other people, to be mindful, to always be kind. But most importantly, never forget where you're from, which takes me to also my grandmother, that was who was a very important person in my life. Her sweetness has always stayed with me. Her kind ways have always stayed with me. So I think that the women in my life from generations, both of them teachers and educators, but great parents. And of course, they did the best that they could, because us as children, we didn't come with instructions. And and I'm sure we were not, I wasn't easy in my teens, but not as difficult as the teenagers today. The world has changed because of so much technology, of course. Um, However, I would say the spiritual ways and the ancestry definitely would come from the feminine side of the family, even though my father always talked about Anakaona and the different ancestors that we have in Haiti, because Haiti has such an amazing history and such an amazing place, because Haiti has always supported the world in so many different layers. I mean, just to think, starting from the independence, we have had Jamaicans like Boukman, right?
Right.
And then after that, Haiti, as it got its independence, was helped Israel to become one of the first Jewish nations, in the world, and so many other countries to have their independence. And so I carry all of that with me with pride, and I feel that that's a history to be shared and to be proud of in the Caribbean, all of us as
Yes.
Caribbean people. So I always think and dream that one day everything will be fine and we'll all go home and have a big party.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alexandra, before we hear from Myrtha, tell us where we can get your books.
Yes, well, I had the opportunity to present my book in the library. So I think that any library in Miami-Dade will have my book. There are 50 libraries. You can also find Mindful Pokey on Amazon. And unfortunately, if you're not on Amazon, it's like you're not on the map. You can also find my book at Librairie Mapu in Little Haiti. It's a universal language. And of course, like Ms. Dubois mentioned, if there's a way that we could leave our information, it would be great to
Yes.
for people to contact us. And if
Sure.
I write a note, that would be really lovely.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. Myrtha?
I believe the gentleman asked who was the inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I would also have to respond and say it would be my mom, but in a different way. My mom was silent in regards to her struggles, in regards to her life. She was very personal. Everything that happens in the home stays in the home kind of way. So she was really quiet and silent. And growing up, I too was silent and quiet, and one that would go in the crowd and kind of stay in the corner or walk into a room and sit in the back of the room. So because of that, I felt it's important once again for us to voice up, and to speak out. And so my mom is the inspiration because I felt she had a story. I felt she had a lot to say, but she chose not to speak. Not to speak about her dreams, not to speak about her struggles, not to speak about her desires. And as a result, I am learning of my mom after she passed away. So I definitely, again, I go back to go tell is not a suggestion. It is definitely a commandment. We need to speak up. We need to definitely and speak to one another. I am an advocate and facilitator for mental health awareness, as I mentioned earlier, and we have to speak up. We have to speak for ourselves. If you're not feeling well, if you're not uh, thinking right, if you're not, no one's going to know unless we speak up and we
Right.
speak out. And so, because of that, that is an inspiration for me to keep moving and to keep having these conversations and keep encouraging these women, us, to speak up. Because again, there was a long time that I did not speak. And now my sons, they're like, we cannot keep you quiet now. I want to share every experience that I've been through. And it's
Yeah.
and it's as a result, because silence keeps us not so much vulnerable, but silence keeps us hidden. It keeps us, one more time. Oh, I thought you said something.
I said
Yeah, it just keeps us,
back.
he said something else, right?
Yeah, Lois, did you say it keeps us back or?
Yeah, that is correct. It keeps us back when we
Yes,
silent.
it keeps us back. It keeps us in back of the room. Exactly, Lois, just keeps us silent. And silence doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help us. And it doesn't help, for example, the individuals who want to help us. It doesn't help. Nobody's a mind reader. So if you cannot, and of the three, again, I'm going to go back to the Bible. It says, ask, right? Ask, seek, and knock. The first thing is ask. You have to ask for the help. And then again, closed mouth does not get fed. So whether
Right.
we're needing to be fed, physically, right? Some food, regular food, or we need something for the mind or for the spirit, we cannot be fed. So it definitely and not only it holds us back, Lewis. It's like a prison. It keeps us back. It keeps us a non-element. We're just there. We're not even existing. So this is the reason why I Am Natural Woman came out. And of course, it also speaks about the seasons. So we use the 5 elements of life as the seasons we go through in life. So in this book, we talk about, the fire season and the water season and the air season and the earth season, where we are grounding, we're seeding, we're getting things, we're getting things nurtured and getting things prepared. And so there's a moment of silence that we should have, but at the end of it all, we need to speak up, and we definitely need to speak out. So my mom is the inspiration, going back to her, because she held her silent for too long.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for sharing that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the gentleman, Dr. White.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy and I'm honored to share the platform with such great authors. My name is Dr. V. Issa White. I'm a historian. I'm an academic. I've held tenureship at University of Cincinnati, University of Illinois, as well as the University of Central Florida. Within my career, you either perish or you're published. So I have published 6 books, major books. I have a bestseller called Inside the Nation of Islam, with a foreword by Michael Wallace, formerly of 60 Minutes. And I have over 100 articles in public places or public journals, as well as academic journals. And my work has been written in Spanish, Portuguese, and we're going to have this one also in Wolof. I want to hit the West African community. My background, I was born on a small island called Manhattan. But my father is from Central America, Costa Rica, and his family migrated from Jamaica, St. Elizabeth, Black River, Jamaica. My mother's family is from Cape Haitian. And like many good Caribbean folk, they met in New York. where everything started. So my basis is still there. I've lived in Bermuda, lived in Jamaica, lived in Panama, Costa Rica, and I visited over 100 countries at least. My work and my scholarship, I followed the traditions of other great Caribbean scholars like Frantz Fanon, Walter Rodney, G.M. James, Arthur Schoenberg out of New York. That's the tradition that I follow. And that is constantly speaking truth to power. The title of my book is called Blacklisted, The Price for Speaking Truth. And the question is, what is the thesis and what is the argument in this? Well, the century that we live in, the 21st century, has become an era that polarizes people if you think different than what the standard narrative is. And when I say polarized, I just don't mean ignored, but I'm talking about isolated, socially and economically destroyed. Because I argue within the piece that there is an aggressive force that moves within our current society that I identify as the political elite that will fight and destroy anyone or any group that thinks differently. And it doesn't make a difference if you're on the left or the right, because I argue that this political force is not Republican or Democrat. It is a force that is based on interest, the interest of the elite, the interest of that group that wants to hold that power. Now, within this manuscript, I also talk about the oligarchy. And we hear this term all the time. In fact, it's kind of sad that I think a lot of people, even politicians who say the word, they don't know what the hell it means. And they don't understand it. It just becomes a statement of thought. But there is an invisible oligarchy that is part of the bureaucracy of American society for hundreds of years. And it continues for their survival. Now, the work, how do I structure the work? I structure the work on 3 pillars. That is, 1, a personal pillar. That is my story. Secondly, a historical pillar that focuses on the struggles of the African people who have spoken out in the 20th century and going into the 21st century. And I focus on what I call the current atmosphere. Now, what is the personal story? Well, it depends who you are. When you mention the name Dr. B. Issa White, I'm either famous or infamous. It depends on how you see me, because my work is always hard-hitting, but I always speak out. All right? I always write out. I believe that an academic cannot just be a person who just write pretty stuff. You know, we have a lot of academics and they write about history, but they never got their hands dirty. Right. They write about stories that it sounds cute, but they're not in the mix, nor do they have a real concern. My story is I'm part of that mix. How is it? Well, like all the sisters that's on the platform, you have a connection with somebody in your family that represents our Caribbean base. And one thing about the Caribbean people, we talk loud, we talk consistently, and we talk without fear. That's who we are. Yeah. You see? So therefore, my father spoke out constantly. And why did he speak out? I think it's 2 reasons. Like my mother, they both went to the Marcus Garvey schools. My father went to Marcus Garvey schools in Costa Rica, and my mother went back to Haiti. She went to the Marcus Garvey schools in Haiti. That's a foundation. That says that you have an energy to constantly speak truth to power without worrying about the consequences. So being in that mix, I spoke out. What did I speak out about? I spoke out about issues at the university system. All right, what are the issues? We always talk about the recruitment, but we never talk about the retention. All right, which is a failure. And the university systems don't like that. They get scared about that. I always connected my scholarship to my activism. To be a scholar and just sit in your corner and do nothing, that makes you not a scholar, that makes you a coward. So therefore, I constantly spoke out politically.
Yes.
All right. Politically, I focused on the political leaders in our local community and statewide who ran platforms, campaigns on the backs of Black people. How many Blacks they can get in jail? You know, how many Blacks they can arrest for petty crimes. Right. As this war on crime, it became racial. Most of my colleagues would not even touch that. Then secondly, I looked at the history. What is our history? Every major African person, Black Americans, Afro-Caribbean in the United States who have spoken out have been blacklisted. This is nothing new. From Marcus Garvey, who was deported, you know, to Malcolm X, who was killed.
Yes.
You see, and they always blacklisted us. And how do they do it? They first attack your character. They attack your financial base. Then if that doesn't work, they get you out one way or another, i.e. death. That's the reality. So I looked at this history and I tried to give the reader a perspective that what is taking place in the 21st century is nothing new in reference to our struggle. Then in the 21st century, I connected the story to people like Edward Snowden, Julius Assange, and several others who have been whistleblowers and blacklisted because they dared to challenge the system. So we put all of these things in perspective. And I think that's what makes this book so interesting and so vital, because I believe that I am one of the few academics in the country who's writing like this. Most of them don't. It's 275 pages of hardcore work that I'm sure that would keep the readers excited, intrigued, taking notes, and you're either going to finish that last page saying that I agree with Dr. White, or I hate that son of a gun. and that's how it has to be. So you can get this book, tomorrow. Check this out. Tomorrow, it will be listed on Amazon.com. As we say in this long. Secondly, in a couple of weeks, it will be everywhere where books are sold. That is Barnes, every major bookstore you can think of in about 2 to 3 weeks. It would be in libraries at universities and places like the Schomburg Institute. Wow. I hope to see the book at the bookstores in the airport. When I see it there, then I know it's happening. I don't know what else I can say. It's a very interesting piece, and again, I talk a lot about a lot of different things, gentrification, the whole 9 yards. I want to thank you. That's enough.
Thank you. I think that book sounds like it would be good for a history lesson or to take in to schools. Also, all the books are very interactive in different ways.
Yeah, it is. And how I write, my work is academic, but I write in a style and a nice narrative that flows. Most of the people who have read my materials, they'll tell you that, oh, I couldn't put the book down because I write in a style that brings the reader in. It's not dry writing. It's exciting writing. And you may ask, why did I start writing? The reason, I don't know about the other authors, but I write because of therapy. You see?
Yeah.
I get pissed off at something and I start just jotting things down in a journal free writing. Then before you know it, after about 6 months to a year, I said, God, I got enough stuff here for a book. All right. Then I started to fine tune it into an argument. But writing for me is therapeutic. And I think that it's very important because for us who are people of African descent, you better have some element of therapy within your life in this world, in this country, or you go completely crazy.
How to survive, that's for sure.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
That is so
Alexandra,
true.
you had a comment?
Yes, I wanted to congratulate you on that book. And actually, I love the fact that you talked about the jail, because as a teacher, as an educator, that's what really motivated me for me to write my book for children, because there's a study that has been made that if by third grade, if they don't know how to read and write, they go straight to jail.
Absolutely.
And it's a systematic thing. And I think there's even a documentary on people who have invested on the musicians, the rappers, and so that way as well, they also invest in the jail system. So there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of different traumas that children go through, and then they end up in jail. And it starts when they're small. So I'm very happy that you touch on that subject, because that's a subject that's really dear to my heart when it comes to that aspect. And we have to start when they're small for them to understand that. And I hope that your book gets in the hands of educators, 8th graders, 7th graders, you know, all children to have access to this, and for parents to also read it, because it's very important for them to know it's a big danger.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I forgot to mention that the foreword is done by Cornel West. And he's a friend of mine, and he, of course, you know, he ran for office, but if you know his story, he's also been blacklisted. They tried to isolate him during his race for the presidency of this country.
Yeah.
Thank you for that book, Dr. White, because one of the things that we talk about in our network on a regular basis is that our men become so weak. They give up so quickly. Maybe they sell out. These are some of the terms that we use here, because that is what's going on. And that's why we don't see any leaders. We don't see anybody rise as a leader. Yes, you know, as you mentioned, you know, they blacklist you, they work on your money, they cut your money out. And if that doesn't work, they chop you off, right? But
absolutely.
Listen, we have to speak truth to power. And a lot of our men don't do that anymore. No. Regardless if they think, oh, my money is going to be dwindled, but a lot of us become very, very weak, and our young people suffer for that. Yeah. They don't see the strength in our men. They don't see, we don't speak truth, we don't talk straight up. We dilly-dally around our words, and we don't come straight to our young people. And that's why you see our societies are becoming so weak, and people can run over us with anything and come over us with anything. And you know, I wanted to say, I encourage these young women, you guys who are speaking out, who are doing things in our society. There's a chapter in Jeremiah chapter 31, and I will always speak this. There's a chapter, Jeremiah 31 verse 22, that says there is a new thing on earth for women, because women will compass men. And I encourage you, read that chapter when you see it is a serious thing. Our women, you are taking the mantle. I encourage you to continue, because our men out there are becoming so weak that we don't have anybody to even look up to. And my friend, Dr. White, thank you for that. I am going to make sure I get this book, and I want to read it on this network and encourage people I feel the energy in it, and I don't read it yet.
Well, you're right that the black man in the Americas, especially in the United States, has been castrated.
Yeah.
Psychologically,
yeah,
and intellectually. So my work is intellectual Viagra.
Amen. Amen.
Put some strength to them so they can grow some again, so they can take the leadership like they should. Because like E. Franklin Fraser stated years ago in his Mammoth piece, The Negro Family, when you destroy the male in the family, the community is destroyed in itself. And they have done that. So now we have to, the sisters been doing their part. And my job now is to give intellectual Viagra to these brothers so they can start growing again.
That's a good hashtag.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, Sal.
I love it. You know, but your book, Dr. White, I would definitely, and I don't typically purchase audiobooks, but for your books, I would love to get the audiobook only because I want to hear you tell me the story. I don't want to have to read it. I want to hear you tell it to me in your way. But that is really good. And again, it goes back to what? Go tell, right?
Yes.
Go tell our community, tell our people, talk to one another. Because as you mentioned, Louis, we are being stripped, or our men are being stripped of so much. How do we rebuild that? We have to share the story. Because like my mom, who was silent, if people didn't know or wasn't in the room or in the field where she was, I would not have known her story either. So it's really important to go share the story. I start with women because I know a lot of women that have kept their mouth quiet. I mean, I literally, I had an intervention with a young lady who was molested at a young age. And the gentleman who molested her told her, don't tell a soul. So what happens? She stayed silent. For years, she stayed silent. And so her coming out and saying, this is what happened to me, was the moment that she broke that trauma, was the moment that she was ready to get healed.
Right.
So it's huge when we start sharing our stories, especially men, because men don't talk, period.
Yep.
You want to keep it in because guess what? Our ancestors, right? Your parents, your grandparents told you to be strong. You don't cry, don't shed a tear, don't show your emotions. So you grow up thinking you still have to continue being strong in this way. So we need to share with our children, with our communities, with the leaders in our church, everywhere, at school, everywhere, colleagues. We need to have more conversations like this, Donna, where men are showing up and speaking up and speaking out.
Yes. Yes, we definitely will work on it. Yes, Louis.
If I may, Donna, my time for this show is coming out, but I'm going to stay on a few more minutes. I'm going to cut off from the live feed from the CRR network. But I want to just pivot back from Dr. White and the book and what we're talking about men. I want to bring in Patrick. Patrick, are you still here with us? Because there are some changes that are happening in Africa, especially with Burkina Faso. Some of these new leaders that are coming in. We have this guy that just really take charge, running out the French and running out all these government that has been oppressing our people in Africa. Patrick, why don't you come in and share? Because we're talking about strong men. We need strong men, strong leaders now to really take hold of the young men and the new leadership that is going on in Africa. For a few minutes, Patrick, talk about the leadership of these men in Burkina Faso and these three big countries, small countries in Africa, that is taking the back and saying, listen, no more. No more of this oppression, no more. And I think the young people in Africa are waking up finally and saying, we don't want this oppression anymore. Get out of our country. Let's take our mineral back. Let's take our gold back and run them out of these countries. For years, they've been oppressing our people out there. Why don't we talk a little bit about that, Patrick? Share some of those things that we talk about here. And Patrick is on our network every Saturday at 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. So when you get a chance, tune in and let's rally around this brother and the messages that he's bringing to the United States directly from Africa. Patrick, if you could talk a few minutes for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and greetings again to the elders here, because I feel privileged listening to established authors. It's important to state that there is a new wave. There is a new wave of decolonization and anti-imperialist struggle going on the African continent. Like I said, in 2015, I was opportune to be one of the participants of the 8th Pan-African Congress. So this is how far I've been monitoring the activities of Black people coming together to unite, to take over the control of their resources. Because, of course, we know that Africa is one of the richest continents in the world. But the resources of the African continent is being plundered and being exploited by foreign powers. You know, they take away the African resources. It might interest us to know that in 2023, Germany alone has about 4 billion, made about $3.3 billion annually in cocoa produce. And this is a country that does not have cocoa itself. 70% of the cocoa the world use are gotten from Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. Yet that same year, the entire African continent could not even pull up to $4 billion in profit. But Germany has more than 3.4 billion. So that is to tell us how these people, through unfavorable trade deals, take away the African resources. But then, historically, there has never been a time when the African revolutionaries fold their arms and not fight back. Africans on the continent, just like our brothers, sisters, fathers, and mothers in the diaspora, have always, at all points in time, resist imperialism. African has also been doing that. We have leaders like Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. He was the first president of Burkina Faso, and he was so loud in his anti-imperialist ideas. The French government, in collaboration with Sankara's childhood friend, Blaise Compaoré, they assassinated Thomas Sankara, and Blaise Compaoré became the president of Burkina Faso, and he reversed all of the policy, all of the pro-African policy of Thomas Sankara in favor of the French government. Sankara has always said that it does not make sense that African countries will be asking for aid from foreign country, considering the wealth of the African continent. Sankara was assassinated. In Congo happens to be one of the richest, if not even the richest area in the world. The cobalt responsible for the production of the technology, the phones we use, Tesla, Apple, they all come to Congo and take away cobalt from there. The first prime minister of Congo was also a young man, Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba was also assassinated. The world folded their hands. Cuba did all it could to support the African revolutionaries then, but Patrice Lumumba was also assassinated, was also killed. That's right. In Ghana, we have Kwame Nkrumah. That's right. We have Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. But these are revolutionaries who understand that the only way Africa can reclaim its glorious past, and I consciously use the word reclaim its glorious past, because Africa was actually once the cradle of civilization. Herodotus, the father of Western history, documented that the children of the nobles in Greece, they came to Africa to study. Imhotep and some other scholars taught them. So all of these are not they are historical fact that Africa gave the world the concept of education. So we are not offsprings of people who have no history. So after all of that, the struggle for the victory of the soul of Africa was cut short because some of our revolutionaries were either assassinated or silenced, like Dr. Issa White has been saying. But then the struggle continues. More than 20 years, Blaise Compaoré, in collaboration with foreign actors, assassinated Thomas Sankara. Young people who never even saw Sankara, they rose up in Burkina Faso and they overthrew the traitor Blaise Compaoré. Blaise Compaoré narrowly escaped death. And in Burkina Faso now, we have a new government led by a young man called Ibrahim Traoré. And Ibrahim Traoré has been doing so wonderfully well. Just recently, Traoré has organized young people, and production of agricultural produce has been going on massively in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso now has what they call mobile hospital. You don't need to go far before you can get all of those resources. As I also speak to you, about few days ago, not up to a week ago, Ibrahim Traoré made a new policy saying land can no longer be distributed to foreign entities. The land of Burkina Faso should be controlled by the Burkina, because it belongs to them. Similar to what is going on in South Africa. Yes. In South Africa, there is a new policy, land redistribution policy in South Africa, because since during the apartheid administration, the invaders, the white offsprings of the Dutch, take over more than 60% of the land in South Africa. But now there is a new Pan-African government in South Africa saying, no, that is not the way South Africa should be governed. The people of South Africa, the natives of South Africa, should also have access to this land. And they are saying there must be distribution. But then people like, I don't know if it's fine to call names, but there are some actors in the United States trying to create destabilization in South Africa by spreading misinformation, saying genocide is going on in South Africa, whereas that is not what is going on. That is not the true situation of things. South Africans are saying apartheid is over. No more should our people not have access to the land. Why should progenitors of invaders control 70% of the land in South Africa? So these are the things. Also in Senegal, the new president of Senegal. In Senegal also has another revolutionary young leader. He should be around 41 or 42 years, and he has also taken an anti-imperialist position, because the truth is that the only way Africa can actually retain its glorious past is when Africa controls its mineral resources. Africa has the human capacity and Africa has the resources, but these resources are being controlled by Western imperialists. For instance, recently we got to realize there was an expose that came out that says about 50% of the energy of France or the entire European Union is being powered by the uranium gotten from Niger, and also the uranium that formed the basis of the production of the atomic bomb that the United States dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the World War was gotten from Congo. So these are revelations that shows that Africa is really not a poor country, and there is no reason for every soul, for a single soul in Africa to be poor. Right. But for a very long time, the Western imperialists has taken over the continent as they've implanted their puppets to take over the soul. But this is changing. we have young people standing up and saying enough is enough. And one of them is Blaise. One of them is Ibrahim Traoré. When Niger took over and overthrew a Western-backed president that was in Niger, instead of the Nigeria, I'm from Nigeria, and it's important for me to mention this. What is expected is there's supposed to be a diplomatic communication between the African head of state, whereas the Nigerian president, who happens to be the president of ECOWAS is supposed to be a bloc protecting the economic and political interests of the African people. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our own president in Nigeria, threatened to invade Niger, and that is undiplomatic. That does not represent the true interest of brotherhood and sisterhood that African continent is known for. It threatened to send in troops, Nigerian troops, to Niger, to fight Niger. And this is a country that Nigeria has more than 300,000 refugees there. You can imagine the implication of the life of those persons being there. It took a public outcry of Nigerians, and this also take us back to the book, to Dr. White's books about not keeping short. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be silenced, because whatever voice we give can be the necessity to saving a soul. Nigerians mobilized themselves. Online petitions were sent. We made our intention known that we do not support the military occupation of a fellow African continent. And the president had no choice. The Congress sat and they reversed it. So these are some of the developments going on the continent. Now we have anti-African policies have been reversed. Young Africans are being encouraged, to take up productive science and technology operations. Yes, we have young persons producing cars on the continent. And to make everything more interesting, Ghana has always been so clear and so loud in its African and diaspora African relationship. Few months ago.
Just one quick second, Patrick. We have to let a few of the authors jump off, and then we'll finish up. We've got 5 more minutes for you, but we'll finish up, and we just want to thank Myrtha and Alexandra. And I know I think you have to jump off, so I just wanted to at least recognize you all before you do. And we have your information, and we'll be sharing it on on Facebook. So thank you all. Thank you both.
All right.
Okay,
thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Pleasure. Great information, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
This was great.
Yeah, thank you, guys. All of you, thank you for being a part of this evening. It's a great opportunity. As we sort of wrap up, Black History Month, these are the type of conversation that I think we should be having, instead of continuing every year to repeat the same thing. No, listen, we know we all have a dream, which we love. We love our brother, Dr. Morton the first, coming out. But there are things that are current that we must talk about, the current issues that we're having, where men are failing us. We need to find a way to strengthen our man. I give thanks to all of you women who is coming out of the silent treatment or the silent that you've been doing. Continue to write these books, continue to speak up, continue to have these sessions, Donna, continue to have these forums that we can not only hear from our women, but also hear from the men and get our men back into our community.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Patrick, we'll wrap up with 2 more minutes with you, Patrick.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. White was saying something before we leave.
In reference to Patrick, I mean, what he's saying is completely brilliant. I'm one of the few people who considered Colonel Gaddafi a friend. For over 20 years, I was in and out of Tripoli. And one of the things that he was trying to do was to create a cadre of young people like Patrick. And also for all of you, it should also be remembered that while he was also talking about developing a United States of Africa, that United States of Africa also included the Caribbean, that he was very, very fond of, especially of Haiti and, of course, Cuba under Fidel Castro, another friend of mine, that supported him. And Patrick is absolutely right. They have young people who are doing fabulous things there. I'm crazy about the young president in Senegal, and I'm crazy about Julius Malema, who's really scaring the heck out of him. But he's speaking truth.
Yes.
You know, he's like the Malcolm of South Africa.
Yes, he sure is. I like
we also have a young prime minister in Grenada that's shaking things up too. So
yes, Donna, true.
Yeah, but they always been afraid of Grenada ever since Maurice Bishop.
Maurice Bishop. He started it, yes, for real.
So I think it's due time that our young people and are rising up and taking the mantle. So I love it. So
Yeah.
Patrick, continue on. We've got like 3 more minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Issa White, on the platform. Well, it's like Doctor said that he mentioned Gaddafi, and Gaddafi's story is a very touching one for me. I was just preparing to go to university when I saw it was in 2012, when
Right.
the whole NATO versus Gaddafi came up. And one very striking thing that is important to be mentioned was that during the crisis, in Libya, set about 6 head of state, African head of state, they were on the plane traveling down to Libya to discuss with Gaddafi and see how they can broker peace and ensure that stability returns to Libya. Then the NATO leadership dictated that the plane, the African head of state, is flying over to Libya, should disembark on that mission. They ordered them back.
Mm.
It's the president of Uganda that's giving this report because he has a representative in the party, and they ordered them back. And they had no choice because by now, as great as Africa is supposed to be a nuclear continent.
That's right.
Africa is supposed to be. We have the material, we have the resources, and we have the best of brains that can put all of these things together.
Absolutely.
We have a continent of young and vibrant intellectuals who can put all of these things together. So they disembarked on that, and the NATO forces, in collaboration with the National Transition Council, they invaded Libya and they caught Gaddafi live.
Yes.
Let's even assume they have any case against Gaddafi. The International Criminal Court issued a warrant of arrest against him. What is expected is to take him over to the court and try Gaddafi, but they killed him in an extrajudicial manner because they weren't interested in any litigation with him. They were just interested in regime change so that they can thwart the whole Pan-African idea, the beautiful ideas that Gaddafi represents. It further shows why Africans has come of age. We need to tell our history because a man who does not understand his history can never understand his present. And if the present is not understood, there is no way we can interpret the future correctly. That is why we should always find every way to make sure that history is imputed in the curriculum of our people and not the history, not Eurocentric history. Because I went to university and I'm quite disappointed in the curriculum we use. They tell us the father of philosophy is Thales of Miletus, a Greek person, whereas it is documented that the same Thales of Miletus, Pythagoras, Aristotle, they came to Africa to study.
Exactly.
So we need an Afrocentric curriculum that teach African children the role of Africans in history. And that is what I try to use the play, The Great Delusion, to achieve. Thank you so much.
Hey, Patrick, what do you think about Kenya sending troops to Haiti? The leadership of what that country is doing.
Haiti is, I regard them personally, the Caribbean has African ancestral land. Mm-hmm. In fact, whenever I have an opportunity to speak to somebody from the Caribbean, I see them as our mothers, our fathers, considering what they represent. So on no account should any African country be used against a fellow African country.
Absolutely.
Similar to what I said about the Nigerian president, I denounce, just like millions of African youth, we denounce the position of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu attempting to send Nigerian soldiers to go kill or to go fight the Nigerians. If there are any issues, it should be resolved in a diplomatic manner. So there is no reason whatsoever for an African country to send in, soldiers or whatever, if not going there to protect the people over there. You have no reason to go there and cause crisis with them. And it's definitely the shenanigans of the foreign power who feels they have the right to dominate every other persons and even use a divide and rule tactics. They've been using it for a very long time. You divide the people and they have no reason to be united. So I think Africans should continue to protect themselves in all ways, politically, infrastructure-wise, exchange of ideas and opinion, and not standing up against each other, sir.
Thank you. I agree.
You're welcome.
Wonderful,
so much,
wonderful. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Yes, we definitely need more, especially in this time. We have to rise up. We have to be strong. We have to get up, get up, stand up for our rights, like Bob said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the time, the dream is respected, but now we must fight. So thank you all for attending tonight, for appearing. Thank you so much. Patrick, we know it's crazy. It's what is it, 2:00 in the morning?
Yeah, 2:23 in the morning, yes.
Well, I feel special.
I tell you, next Black History Month, next year, if God willing, I would like to sponsor Patrick over here for 1 month. Because
thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
The things that he is saying is that our young people and our elders here need to hear.
Yes.
Because this young man is he's a ball of fire. He gets me excited.
And we need more, like to have a forum where there's more of you, and we can definitely do a virtual and bring on more fellow, young leaders like yourself. And you know what? I've not been to Nigeria. I've been to Ghana, but I've not been to Nigeria. So that sounds like a trip coming up too. That definitely gets to meet you. Because we do outreach. We do outreach in Ghana, do outreach in Tanzania, Uganda, and Zambia. So I am connected to the motherland, and that was very important for me personally to be connected there, as well as in the Caribbean, as a Jamaican American.
And after Nigeria itself has also played very significant role when it comes to the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy is Africa. That is established. Whatever policy a Nigerian is to make should put Africa ahead, before any other thing. During the apartheid administration, revolutionary figures like Nelson Mandela, he was in Nigeria for a while. When he needed to stay, Walter Sisulu, they were all here in Nigeria. And even when the British claimed they were giving independence to Nigeria, and they said some of their military satellites will be in Nigeria, it took young Nigerian students and youth to mobilize what is called the Anglo Defense Park. So historically, Nigerians have always akin to the call of a continental brotherhood. I also hear Dr. Issa White, he mentioned Fidel Castro as his friend. Fidel is one person we hold so in high esteem, considering the role Cuba had played for the development, and even during the anti-colonial fights. Cuba did not even support through financial wise. They even send their soldiers. Their soldiers were in Angola. Their soldiers were in South Africa. Che Guevara was touring the continent, to ensure that the African people get the support, they have. That is why we need to sustain this brotherhood. Nigeria has also been so loud.
Right.
Nigeria has also been so loud in calling the United States to hands off Cuba, the economic blockade for over 60 years that the U.S. government has placed on Cuba. Every sovereign country has the right to determine their political model.
Right.
No country should impose on the others. Attack against Cuba should be seen as attack against everybody of African descent, considering the role Cuba, even the Cubans regard themselves as being part of Africa, because their history and all of that.
Yeah.
So I know we can do more of this. We have young persons like myself too, who share all of these ideas, and I'm so inspired, and I'm so very motivated. When we do all of these things, when we organize our peers, we discuss political discussion, especially as it relates to Africans in the diaspora, because it's one of my dreams to see Africans in the diaspora come back to the continent, because this is where they belong to. They have the resources, they have the intellectual capacity. When we merge the ideas on the continent and the ideas in the diaspora, the sky will not even be our hand. It will be the beginning of what we can achieve. So we can definitely get more persons to listen to this literature we give out, and we can ensure that we get more soldiers who are intellectually sound to take up the duty of mother call, because it's a mother call and we have no choice than to hack into it. So thank you so much for the platform, because platforms that give opportunities like this are so rare. The media today has become weaponized. Any ideas that has to do with the true nature of the continent are deliberately being censored. We still have people who think Africa is a continent where the people have tails, or where we don't even have houses. We sleep under the tree. That's what people still think. And it's understandable. It's understandable, because you have to give a dog a bad name so that you can have a justification to kill the dog. Africa need to be exploited. And one of their greatest weapons is to underreport Africa, create Africa as a place that has no value, so that nobody puts attention to, the resources, they keep looting from the continent. The British Museum house thousands of African artifacts. Today, we are still calling for the repatriation of those artifacts. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Last words, Dr. White, and then Louis.
Well, my last words are, first of all, purchase the book. Go to Amazon.com to purchase Blacklisted, The Price for Speaking Truth. I want to thank you, Donna. I want to thank you, Patrick, Frank, all the brothers and sisters who have been on this. And last word with Nigeria. Do not forget that Nigeria is also producing their own automobiles and trucks now, and drones. Can you imagine having a Nigerian car in Orlando? That would be tremendous.
Yes.
That'd be tremendous. So, sister, thank you for the platform. May God continue to bless you, your family, and your staff to continue the great work you're doing. Indeed, what you're doing is revolutionary. God bless all of us.
All right. Thank you,
Good.
guys. God bless you. Brother Patrick, it's been a pleasure having you. Dr. White.
Thank you, Brother Lewis.
Myrtle, and of course, Miss Alexandra.
Mhm.
Excellent work. You guys continue to work. On behalf of all of us here on the CRR network, it was a pleasure being here this evening. God bless.
Thank you.
right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
everyone. Thank you for
All
joining
right.
us on
And
Caribbean
Lewis, call me
Diaspora
sometime.
Vibes.
Come on. God bless you, brother.
All right.
We'll
Take
be
care.
connecting you too. I'll send your link to Dr. White, okay? Or I'll send Dr. White's information to you, or vice versa, Patrick. All right. Be
Okay,
blessed,
thank you.
everyone.
Good night. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.